Everything in this universe is energy, everything, from the cells in your body to the thoughts you think, from the chair you're sitting on to the person who betrayed you. It's all vibrating, constantly moving, constantly emitting a frequency. What we often overlook is that our emotional states, our reactions, intentions, and even subconscious belief also carry a specific energetic signature. You see, emotions are not just feelings. They are chemical messengers that influence the electromagnetic field of the heart and the coherence of the brain. When someone acts from a place of deception, control, or ego, they imprint their own energetic field with chaos. This is where the narcissist comes into the picture. On the surface, it may appear that they're unaffected, calm, confident, in control, but beneath that mask is an incoherent field of energy, an emotional and neurological signature of conflict, fragmentation, and inner instability. They operate from the lower energy centers: survival, dominance, power, and control. Those are reactive energies, not creative ones. They are patterns rooted in the primitive brain, the fight, flight, freeze mechanisms that get triggered when one lives in a state of threat or scarcity. When a narcissist betrays you, they violate the integrity of the relational field. In energetic terms, they've ruptured the coherence of the emotional connection. It's not just about what they did, it's about the frequency they carry. Deception, manipulation, and betrayal operate at low vibrational states. They collapse the quantum field around them. They constrict possibility. They drain life force. And while they may seem to walk away untouched, what they've done is attach themselves to the very frequency that will unravel their own peace. Why? Because the body is always listening. The subconscious mind doesn't understand the difference between doing harm and experiencing it. It only knows the energy of the act. Every time a narcissist betrays, their nervous system gets hardwired to more stress, more fragmentation, and more inner incoherence. Their thoughts don't match their actions. Their words don't match their energy, and when thought, action, and emotion are misaligned, the heart and brain fall out of sync. That incoherence becomes the seed of dis-ease, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. You have to understand, people don't escape the energy they generate. They can cover it up, deny it, justify it, but their body and field are storing it. Every lie alters their neural circuitry. Every manipulation hardens the emotional pattern. Every betrayal strengthens the feedback loop of fear, shame, and illusion. And over time, their body becomes addicted to the chaos. It becomes their baseline frequency. They might smile on the outside, but their cells are vibrating with anxiety. Their brain becomes entrained to the past. Their heart becomes numb to the present, and their field cannot hold peace because peace is a coherent frequency, and coherence cannot exist where there is self-deception. Now here's the important part. When you were betrayed, your energy field was disrupted. Your heart may have experienced incoherence too. You felt the emotional residue because you were entangled with their vibration. But here's the key. You don't have to stay in that frequency. Your liberation begins when you stop emotionally reacting and start energetically creating. The moment you become conscious of the energy you carry, grief, rage, heartbreak, you have the power to shift it. You can choose elevated emotions. You can shift your state. You can entrain your heart and brain into a higher coherence, but they can't, not until they break the cycle, not until they face the emotional debt they've accumulated in their own field. Because until then, their nervous system will be the prison they live in. Their past will repeat itself. They'll search for peace but never find it, because peace isn't a thought, it's a frequency, and no one aligned with betrayal can hold it. Not for long, and that is the invisible justice of energy. The human body is a biochemical vessel, a living, breathing laboratory of chemical reactions governed by thought, emotion, and environment. Every thought you think produces a neurochemical response. Every emotion you feel releases a cascade of hormonal signals throughout your body, and every experience you have wires and fires specific neural pathways that begin to shape your identity. Now let's consider betrayal not just as a moral failure, but as a neurochemical event. When a narcissist betrays someone, they're not just creating pain externally. They are reinforcing a specific internal chemical environment that affects the way their brain and body function. People often mistake manipulation or betrayal as merely a psychological issue. But in truth, it is a physiological addiction, one deeply rooted in the reward systems of the brain. In the narcissist's brain, the act of deception may initially activate a surge of dopamine, the brain's feel-good neurotransmitter. There's a false sense of power, a chemical high that creates the illusion of control, superiority, or dominance. They may get a rush from deceiving, from escaping accountability, from controlling someone's perception. But like any dopamine hit, it's fleeting. It spikes and crashes, and the crash is where the cost begins, because what follows that high is not balance, it's cortisol, the stress hormone. The moment the illusion starts to slip, the body perceives threat. What if I'm exposed? What if they see through me? What if I lose control? Even if the narcissist doesn't consciously think those thoughts, their autonomic nervous system is already responding. Elevated heart rate, tight chest, shallow breath. The sympathetic nervous system is activated, fight or flight, survival mode. Now, if this were a one-time event, the body might recover. But betrayal is not isolated in the narcissist's life. It's patterned, repetitive, and every repetition strengthens the feedback loop. Over time, the body begins to live in a constant state of biochemical stress, fluctuating between the high of control and the fear of exposure. Their baseline becomes imbalance, and here's the irony. The very behavior they use to feel powerful is the same behavior that erodes their inner stability. Repeated betrayal rewires the brain. Neural circuits that fire together wire together. So every time they lie, gaslight, or manipulate, they are reinforcing neuropathways tied to fear, shame, and disconnection. Their prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for rational thinking, empathy, and long-term planning, begins to take a back seat. Meanwhile, the limbic brain, the emotional, reactive brain, becomes dominant, and now they're not making conscious decisions. They're running programs, automatic, conditioned responses rooted in the past. The body doesn't lie. You can tell yourself a story mentally, but the body will always reveal the truth. And in the narcissist's body, that truth is instability. Over time, their cellular environment adapts to the chemicals of betrayal. Cells become desensitized to normal, balanced emotional states. They crave intensity. Chaos becomes familiar. Peace becomes foreign. The biochemistry of betrayal becomes their identity. Even worse, these chronic emotional states suppress the immune system, increase inflammation, and dysregulate hormonal balance. Their sleep suffers. Their digestion is affected. Their energy fluctuates. And their ability to feel true connection deteriorates. Why? Because you can't feel genuine connection when your body is addicted to control. You can't experience love when your brain is wired for manipulation. And you cannot access higher states of consciousness when your chemistry is anchored in survival. Let's go deeper. When a person betrays another, they activate not just stress in themselves, but in the energetic field they share with others. Human beings are connected through electromagnetic fields, primarily via the heart. Betrayal creates an incoherent signal. That incoherence feeds back into the betrayer's own system, creating a sense of unrest they can't quite explain. They may project blame, shift responsibility, or mask the discomfort, but underneath, their nervous system is unsettled. Their thoughts become repetitive, their emotions become cyclical, and their body begins to live in the past. And while they might appear confident, calm, or unaffected on the outside, the inside tells a different story. Their brain becomes a looping machine, recycling the same thoughts and feelings that created the betrayal in the first place. The more they try to suppress, the more the body remembers, and eventually they are no longer choosing betrayal. It's choosing them because their identity is now chemically fused with the pattern. At the level of the ego, betrayal can look like victory. The narcissist walks away with their head held high, perhaps smirking, perhaps silent, while you're left wondering how someone could inflict so much damage and seemingly feel nothing. They may discard you, manipulate the narrative, or make you the villain in a story you never agreed to. On the outside, they appear to win. They got what they wanted. They maintained control. They moved on faster. But this illusion of winning is precisely that, an illusion. To understand this, we must move beyond appearances and enter the domain of energy and consciousness. The narcissist operates from the lower self, anchored in separation, scarcity, competition, and fear. Their sense of identity is built on external validation and comparison. Winning, for them, doesn't mean evolving. It means being perceived as superior, untouchable, dominant. But the truth is that needing to win at the cost of someone else's well-being is not empowerment. It's a symptom of deep internal fragmentation. Now, here's what's happening neurologically. In the narcissist's brain, so much of their identity is entangled with performance, with how they appear, how they're perceived, how much control they can exert. When they betray someone, particularly someone who loved them, their brain receives an immediate feedback loop. The behavior gives them a short-term reward. This often activates the dopaminergic system, a flood of pleasure chemicals tied to novelty, validation, or getting ahead. But this neurochemical reinforcement is unsustainable. Because their actions are misaligned with truth, their nervous system starts generating conflicting signals. Their conscious mind says, "I've won," but their subconscious body says, "I'm out of integrity." This is a biological contradiction. And when the mind and body are in opposition, a state of incoherence is created. They can pretend everything is fine, but their electromagnetic field, the energy their heart and brain emits, is disturbed. The mind can lie, the body cannot. Winning, in this context, is rooted in disconnection, and disconnection, over time, creates a psychological emptiness, a void that no external success can fill. You may not see it on their face, but their system starts to deteriorate from within. They're not building resilience or awareness. They're not growing. They're reinforcing a fragile identity that requires constant maintenance and manipulation. That's not strength. That's survival. From an energetic standpoint, when someone betrays another for their own gain, they are contracting their field. In quantum terms, they are aligning with limitation. They are anchoring themselves deeper into a version of reality where love is conditional, where vulnerability is weakness, and where safety comes through domination. And the more they win in this illusion, the further they move from authentic power. Because authentic power is not control, it's coherence, it's alignment, it's the integration of heart, mind, and soul. Now let's take this further. When someone betrays another and feels victorious, they are often externalizing their self-worth. They need you to suffer so they can feel strong. They need to distort your image so they can preserve their own. This isn't winning. This is dependency masquerading as superiority. True wholeness doesn't need to destroy someone else to feel full. True confidence doesn't require a scapegoat, and here's where the illusion deepens. They believe they've escaped the consequences. They may have blocked you, ignored you, or rewritten the story, but the brain and body don't operate by surface stories. They operate by internal truth. Every time they think about you, every time they get triggered by someone who reminds them of you, the emotional memory reactivates. The nervous system doesn't forget. The subconscious doesn't forget. Their perception may try to bury it, but their biology is still responding. This is why so many narcissists become trapped in cycles of short-term gratification and long-term emptiness. The illusion of winning requires a constant performance. It requires avoidance of truth. It demands that they run faster from their own reflection, but the more they win by betrayal, the more they must protect the lie. And the more they protect the lie, the further they drift from any sense of real peace, love, or growth. The greatest truth about healing from betrayal, especially the kind that wounds deeply at the soul, is that you are not a victim of your past unless you choose to be. The moment you realize this, you reclaim your most profound power, the power to rewire your mind, body, and energetic field, to transform your experience from one of pain, anger, and victimhood into one of growth, liberation, and wholeness. Your brain is not fixed. It is constantly changing. Neuroplasticity is the biological miracle that gives you the capacity to create new neural pathways. Every thought, every feeling, every decision you make rewires the circuitry of your brain. This is how transformation happens, not by trying harder, not by suppressing pain, but by becoming aware of the energy patterns that keep you stuck and intentionally shifting them. When a narcissist betrays you, they implant a pattern of emotional trauma in your system, a pattern that may replay again and again in your mind. You might find yourself caught in loops of anger, sadness, or self-doubt. But this is not your permanent state. Your nervous system remembers, yes, but it also holds the potential to remember differently. Imagine your brain as a forest where the repeated thoughts and emotions have carved deep paths. Those paths are easy to walk because they are familiar, but those paths are not your destiny. With awareness and intentional focus, you can start to create new trails, new ways of thinking, feeling, and being that are not defined by betrayal or pain. This process is rewiring. Rewiring starts with consciousness. The moment you become present to the feelings that arise, the anger, the hurt, the fear, you open a doorway. Instead of reacting unconsciously, you can observe those feelings as transient energy, not fixed identity. You shift from "I am hurt" to "I feel hurt, but I am not defined by this." This simple but profound distinction changes your neurochemical state. It moves you from the reactive limbic brain into the rational prefrontal cortex, where choice and creation happen. Next, you cultivate elevated emotions, gratitude, compassion, joy, hope. These emotions are not mere platitudes. They are powerful neurochemicals that balance the nervous system, increase coherence between heart and brain, and open the field of possibility. The more you dwell in these elevated states, the more you strengthen new neural circuits. You literally retrain your brain to find peace, regardless of external circumstances. But the most profound aspect of rewiring is that it affects not just your brain, but your body. Your body stores emotional memories as cellular imprints. Trauma lives not only in the mind, but also in the tissues. When you intentionally shift your emotional state, your body chemistry changes, stress hormones decrease, heart rate variability improves, the electromagnetic field of your heart expands. This is where true transformation begins, not just thinking differently, but embodying a new version of yourself. You hold the power here because this transformation cannot be given to you by anyone else. It's an inside job. No one else's actions, no matter how painful, have the power to imprison you unless you allow them. The moment you start rewiring, you break free from the reactive cycle of victimhood and step into the role of creator. You become a conscious architect of your reality, choosing new thoughts, feelings, and intentions that align with your highest good. This also shifts your timeline. From a quantum perspective, time is not linear but fluid. When you change your inner state, you change the frequency you emit into the field, and you begin to attract new realities, new people, opportunities, and experiences that reflect your evolved self. The past remains a memory, but it no longer dictates your future. Rewiring is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about integrating the experience, acknowledging the wound, and then choosing to transcend it. When you do this, you reclaim your power, your freedom, and your peace. The betrayal no longer holds dominion over you because you have rewritten the neurological story it once told. You have the ability to create a new self, one that is whole, resilient, and free. This self is not defined by external validation or the opinions of others. This self is grounded in your own truth, your own heart, and your own sovereignty. You hold the power because you are the one who rewires the brain, heals the body, and elevates the energy. It is the most profound form of self, love, and liberation possible. And this power is always available to you. It is the birthright of every human being to create themselves anew, not as a reaction to what has happened, but as a conscious expression of who they truly are meant to be. Peace is not just a state of mind. It is a frequency, a vibration, a coherence within the electromagnetic field that surrounds every living being. It is the resonance of alignment between heart and brain, the harmony between body, mind, and spirit. And peace is not something that can be borrowed, forced, or faked. It must be cultivated from the inside out. When someone betrays you, especially a narcissist, their energy is anchored in fragmentation, control, and illusion. Their nervous system vibrates with fear, scarcity, and deception. This vibration is fundamentally incompatible with peace because peace requires coherence, the alignment of thought, feeling, and intention. It demands honesty, vulnerability, and presence. These are the very qualities narcissists suppress or deny to maintain their mask of control. From a scientific perspective, peace arises when the heart and brain operate in synchrony. This coherence creates a stable electromagnetic field that affects not only your own body, but also the environment and people around you. When your heart rate variability increases and your brain waves slow into alpha and theta states, you experience calm, clarity, and a deep connection to yourself and the present moment. This is peace, not the absence of conflict, but the presence of wholeness. But the narcissist's betrayal generates an energetic fracture. Their field becomes incoherent. It's like a broken radio signal, static, noise, distortion. They are trapped in a feedback loop of survival responses, fight, flight, freeze, that override the possibility of peace. Their heart is closed, their mind fragmented, and their emotions disconnected. They live in a state of constant tension because their identity depends on controlling external circumstances rather than cultivating internal harmony. Because peace is a high-frequency state, it cannot coexist with low-frequency patterns such as manipulation, deception, and selfishness. These lower vibrations create energetic shadows, blockages that distort the natural flow of life force energy. They drain vitality and create resistance. In essence, the narcissist's betrayal is an energetic act that locks them into a dimension of suffering from which peace is inaccessible. Yet, Peace is available to you always. Even in the aftermath of betrayal, even when the wounds are fresh and the pain is raw, peace is a frequency you can choose to cultivate. You do this by intentionally shifting your focus from external drama to internal coherence. You do this by breathing deeply, practicing gratitude, embracing forgiveness, not for them, but for your own liberation. You do this by tuning into your heart's rhythm and aligning it with your brain's intention. This shift is transformative because it rewires your nervous system away from reactivity and toward resilience. It recalibrates your electromagnetic field to a higher vibration that attracts harmony rather than discord. And it opens a pathway for healing, not just emotional healing, but cellular and energetic healing that permeates every aspect of your being. The narcissist, by contrast, remains locked in their pattern. Their betrayal may have created ripples in your field, but their own field remains constricted, fragmented, and chaotic. They cannot access peace because their survival depends on maintaining illusions. Their nervous system is on high alert, perpetually scanning for threats and vulnerabilities. The frequency they emit is one of tension, fear, and emptiness. And while they may try to convince themselves and others that they have moved on or that they are unaffected, their body tells a different story. Chronic stress, anxiety, and restlessness are the biological markers of a field that cannot hold peace. Their electromagnetic signature is one of imbalance, which eventually affects their health, relationships, and overall quality of life. The invisible consequence of their betrayal is not only the pain they caused you, but the imprisonment they place themselves in energetically. They are prisoners of their own frequency, unable to access the coherence that comes with genuine self-awareness, empathy, and growth. Their path is cyclical, repeating patterns that keep them tethered to the past and disconnected from the present. Meanwhile, your journey toward peace is a journey toward freedom. It is a reclaiming of your own vibrational power, the ability to choose your state of being regardless of external conditions. It is an evolution of consciousness where you no longer identify with the wounds inflicted upon you, but instead identify with the infinite potential within you. Peace is a frequency reserved for those who dare to embrace vulnerability, authenticity, and self-love. It is a frequency that grows stronger as you cultivate mindfulness, compassion, and gratitude. And it is a frequency that will always remain beyond the reach of those who cling to control, deceit, and betrayal. Because peace is not just a feeling or a thought. It is an energetic signature of a coherent, aligned, and free being.